Morning guys, it's April the 11th. I'm Henry Green from London Trading Group. I'm just going to run through what we're going to be looking for on this week. So this is going to be a bit of a longer term time frame analysis. So we're going to go through my weeklies and my dailies just to see what's going to potentially happen. So euro dollar went sideways for the majority of last week. I have ended up with quite a nice indecision candle at resistance up there at 114. So every time it's kind of done this in the past, you've had this scenario just here and in here as well, and after that we've had two big sell-offs for the following week. So you've got to expect that to happen again. I like this to come off now, especially if we fail to break through. So in terms of the range, you've got to break through 114.40 on the top side, but certainly I think that we might actually take the A out on this side, and we could now fall. And I think through this counter trend line, you're looking a lot lower for the euro dollar. It's got to clear these moving averages. I remember it being the 185 and the 200 that it's been nicely holding off on the hour, but at the moment I do really think the euro could, certainly if we close below 113.50 sort of area, I think that this then trades significantly lower, and on the week the next level down is going to take us back down towards sort of 111.50 area. So that's where I favour this one to go. On the day we can't really put the new fib in yet in terms of the downside, but I do expect this to pull back now. So let's see what happens. Maybe we just get a pullback into sort of, maybe you could put this trend line in. I mean, if you ignore that spike just caused by Draghi, you can potentially see this come back at least down to 13.50 and maybe a little bit lower, blip a little bit lower and close back above it on the day. So let's get that right. Yeah, so I think that makes a bit of sense. Maybe you get that pullback this week in the euro dollar. Okay, cable. So cable again, yeah, I mean, it had a good day on Friday, and I do think that we potentially have. We're just going to go sideways for a bit of a longer period. We finally did close below this these lows here, so I was expecting this to kind of continue on down. It didn't happen. We kind of rallied, so I'm just going to see what cable does. I think we potentially could go sideways in cable for a while. I had this big move down. We finally hit this D on the downside as well. So on the hourlies I'm just looking at the moment, you finally hit the D on the downside. So I think this could now just go sideways for a period of time before we then break out and go again. So on the week, it is certainly in a bit of a squeeze period. If I just show you the weekly chart, you can see how we've rallied, but we've just blipped off this past market angle that I've got in. So I'm just going to wait to see whether this breaks. I think certainly on the day you've got to wait for a breakout on the day before I'm going to be playing cable. I think it probably just goes sideways for the first few days of this week. Okay, dollar yen, interestingly, this looks lower for me now, so let's just get rid of them. So if you just have a look at this, I mean, it's a very, very bearish close for me on the week. Often you will get that retest. You've had no pullback, so we are at the 127 as well, so this pullback could now occur. However, if it doesn't, we could just quite easily run on, and the D for me is down at 104.60. So on the daily, let's have a look what's happening there. Very, very bearish close on the day as well. Kind of tried to push higher and then just got pushed all the way back down again. So we are down at the 127. I do favour a bounce at 107.50, just see what happens. But I think if you manage to close on that on the hour through that, I think then this does go significantly lower again. So I'm just going to wait to see what happens with dollar yen, but certainly 107.50 is an area that I like. Other than that, I think it could go straight off down. 105.80 is my next level down in terms of the hourly D. So let's just see what happens. But certainly, I think dollar yen is probably lower for the next week. Certainly the weekly chart looks that way. Okay, so this is dollar CAD weekly chart as well. Again, nice rejection off these highs, and then we fell again, sort of leading into the end of last week, and I think that this now could go lower as well. We've had the pullbacks complete and we formed the D, but I think this could be one that overruns, and then you're looking down to sort of 125 area. So on the daily, we've got to close below this low. So if we don't, then we're going to rally, and I think if you close up back through 133, then that's when you potentially see it. This could be the inverse head and shoulders that we talked about. So you've got the left shoulder here, the head, and then this could be the forming of the right shoulder. So we could now see this rally, and I think, as I said, if you get up through 133, you're sort of looking at that as the distance. Let's have a look back up, and you're sort of looking back up towards 137. Is that, yeah, up towards 137. So that could be an interesting one. So see what happens with dollar CAD today. Certainly see if we rally. We've taken the A out on the downside, I believe. So yeah, we've taken the A out on the downside, so it'll be interesting to see what happens around here. Maybe we've formed the new AB, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on the hourly chart for dollar CAD, but certainly looks like we could maybe form that right shoulder now on the inverse head and shoulders, and then potentially trade higher. Aussie is forming a head and shoulders as well. Certainly looks bearish on the weekly chart. That looks like a nice close back through again. So I'm going to wait to see what happens in this one. Certainly I like to sell it if it gets up towards 76.50. A few things align with that sort of area, and I think that could be quite a good sell zone should it get up there. So if it gets up to 176.50, that will create that right shoulder as well, and then we can see this trade lower, because obviously we've hit the D, but no pullback yet. So I do expect this to pull back to 73.50 if we're going in line with the fibs. And certainly this breakout market seems to have been slowed, especially after last week's close. So we expected it to be a breakout. It looks to me like this is just slowed back down again now, and now we could now see this trade lower. So that's what I'm going to see to happen in Aussie dollar. I think it probably could pull back this week, because I'm going to wait to see it, or maybe after you form that right shoulder. So certainly 76.50 is a zone that I'm looking at. Kiwi looks quite as choppy as usual. I mean, you've had that you had the break through the top line here. You had that breakthrough resistance, but now we just closed back below it again. So it's pretty frustrating on Kiwi. I think it looked like it wanted to break out, and then it's just bottled it a bit. And I'm just going to wait. I don't think I'm really waiting for anything on this one. I just would like it to go again. I mean, if we have found a bit of a base here and it just needed another platform before rallying, I think if you manage to close above 69.15, I think that's when you could probably start to look confidently at the long side in the Kiwi dollar. So on the weekly, sorry, as I said, it just looks like it's broken out of this range, and we'll come back into it now. So it could just be a test of the 8 EMA, showing that, you know, now it's going to start to rally. You might see this bounce off the 8, but at the moment, I think that I've just got to wait to see what happens with this one. We close back below that 50 moving average as well. So a few things. It looks pretty muddled in the commodity currencies. I don't think dollar CAD, Aussie dollar, and Kiwi dollar are particularly clear. I think dollar yen definitely looks like a short, and euro potentially is a short this week as well. So cable is just a little bit sideways. So I'm going to probably be looking at maybe yen and euro pairs to start with, and then we're going to see how the week develops. Potentially, if that right shoulder forms in the Aussie, look for a short up there, and in the inverse as well in dollar CAD to rally as well. So that's what I'm probably going to be looking for this week, guys. As I said, I hope that's been useful. Please leave any comments you have in the box below. Click subscribe to never miss a video update again, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks very much.